a few more folks join us. So I'll just introduce myself. My name is Rachel. I'm a public affairs specialist here at the Bureau of Land Management in Salt Lake City. And we're so excited to have you here for this William Straw public hearing. We are live streaming this hearing on YouTube, so you're welcome to join us there, and folks can look at that recording there as well. But we will get started in just a minute. It is exactly 7, so we'll give folks another minute to join. All right. So again, for folks that just joined us, thank you for being here. We're excited to have you here today for the William Straw public hearing. Our hearing procedures today are that we have, first off, I'll just again welcome you and say we have a court reporter here present who is here documenting the meeting. You'll see, oh, excuse me. Sorry, there we go. The court reporter is here to document the meeting. We are also recording this meeting and live streaming on YouTube. You may use the Q&A portal to ask questions during the meeting, but these questions are not official comments. The official comment period happens at the after the formal presentation, and we encourage you to use that if you so choose. You will be able to submit your comments in writing so they can be addressed in the final environmental assessment. We will share that information during this meeting, as well as it has been published in the Federal Register and in the newspaper. Our meeting structure today is that we'll have an introduction from leadership and an overview of the William Straw by specialists from the Bureau of Land Management. There will be a public comment period after that presentation. All right, now I'm excited to introduce our Green River District Manager, Lance Porter. Lance, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Appreciate that. Good introduction and welcome, as Rachel said. We're grateful that we have many of you joining us tonight for our public hearing. The public process and engagement is an important step in the project analysis. The Bureau of Land Management values public input and comments. We're looking forward to our virtual public William Straw hearing tonight. And I appreciate many of you joining us and sharing your thoughts and comments later on during the hearing portion of our meeting. Next slide, please. So the hearing was announced in the Federal Register notice on a couple of weeks ago, beginning September 16th, and the public comment and review period will run through October 15th. So while the public hearing tonight, you'll have an opportunity to provide verbal comments to us, and the court reporter will capture your feedback and comments to us. You can also submit your comments in writing through October 15th, and we look forward to receiving that feedback and assisting us as we work through the project. So with that, I'd like to introduce to you our field manager in Price, Chris Conrad. He's the field manager of our Price field office. So Chris.
Okay. Thank you, Lance. Hi, I'm Chris Conrad, the Price Field Office Manager. I've been here for just 2 or 3 years and have enjoyed working with our coal program. The slide that you're looking at was taken around somewhere around circa 1890. It's a survey camp, and that'll get us started. Next slide. The LBA coal tract is located in Emery County, Utah. Emery County is located in the east central part of the state and is shown on the top map in pink. And you can see the rectangle with the red dot. That's the exact location. Looking at the lower map, you can see that the LBA is part of 4 townships of mixed ownership. Bureau of Land Management is colored orange, and the Utah State Institutional Lands, SITLA, are shown in blue. Next slide. The Williams Draw application was filed on March 1st, 2002, but that was not the first time it was applied for. And we'll talk about that again later. It's located in the USGS Book Cliffs known recoverable coal resource area. And the application was for 4,191.4 acres and was later modified, adding 40 acres, making it 4,231.4 acres. BLM manages all the coal resources, although SITLA oversees 3 40-acre parcels that you'll see on the next map. This smaller scale map illustrates the hook shape outline for the Williams Draw LBA, and it's outlined in pink. It also shows in green the lease numbers associated with the Lila Canyon mine located to the north. That's the parent mine. And if you look closely to the northeast, up in the top right corner, you'll see the Lila Canyon lease modification area, or at least part of it, which is a separate, currently ongoing project not associated with the Williams Draw LBA. Next slide. The project area lies along the Book Cliffs escarpment or cliff face, which runs north-south along the western side of the LBA. It's a subset of the Colorado Plateau. The cliff face rises about 1,500 feet from the valley floor and was produced by erosion, not faulting. The area west of the escarpment is relatively flat with several deeply incised drainages and merges into the San Rafael physiographic region. The terrain east of the escarpment is mountainous with elevations rising up to 8,500 feet. If you look at the dark orange-yellow areas to the east on the map, east and south of the LBA, you'll see the Turtle Canyon and Desolation Canyon wilderness areas. These were created in 2019 with the signing of the Dingell Act. The lands have been part of a wilderness study area since about 1984. The LBA in this slide is shown in green because these lands have been identified by SITLA as lands that they would like to exchange for when the SITLA parcels are officially exchanged from the wilderness areas. Next slide. As alluded to earlier, the Williams Draw Tract was leased before in 1998 by Intermountain Power Agency, IPA, and as so are not subject to cost recovery, which means the investigations, the reports, the NEPA, and all contracting was financed by the Bureau of Land Management. Next slide. This last slide is a reminder that the Williams Draw Tract is just an extension to the Lila Canyon coal mine to the north. It's all underground mining. There's no open pit mining. Though there are several coal seams, the mining will be the upper Sunnyside seam only. And there have been several detailed environmental surveys and analysis conducted. The EA was posted on September 16th, as Lance said earlier, starting a 30-day comment period, which ends October 15th. And with that, I'll introduce you to Mike Glasson, the Price Field Office geologist.
Okay, thank you, Chris. First of all, let me just mention that from time to time, you'll hear me say things which may seem redundant to what other folks have said, but bear with us. We're trying to make important points. And so with that, I just want to mention that the cover photograph here that you're looking at right now is taken from the Book Cliffs high above the mine site, the existing mine site, operated by Emery County Mines and Lands, formerly known as Utah American Energy. The Lila Canyon mine, you can see the conveyor belts coming out from under the underground mines, forming stockpiles, also various surface facilities, and so forth. Next slide. The section of the presentation that I'd like to talk about now pertains to the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA as we call it. The requirements for NEPA, which in this case are being satisfied by an environmental assessment, or EA. We have a cooperating agency involved with this EA, the Office of Surface Mining, Reclamation, and Enforcement, a coal agency under Department of Interior, also known as OSMRE. Various special studies have been conducted by third-party contractors for this EA, which include air, threatened and endangered species for both flora and fauna, cultural resources, hydrology, and geology, with an emphasis on subsidence. These special studies are all available on our e-planning website, along with the environmental assessment itself. This EA was assisted and written by a contractor known as SWCA out of Salt Lake City, under the direction of the Price Field Office of BLM. The comment period again began September 16th and runs until October 15th, available on the e-planning site. It's been announced under the Federal Register notice, as you can see, 85 FR 57881, and also in the newspaper of general circulation here in Carbon and Emery counties. Next slide, please. Again, the EA was prepared in cooperation with OSM, and all of these studies are included in the EA, and again are available on the e-planning website for review by anyone who can access that computer site. Next. Okay. What we have done with the environmental assessment is we have analyzed these very specific resources and have made determinations through the environmental assessment that no significant impacts have been identified in the EA. And what this allows the BLM to do is to write and ultimately sign a finding of no significant impact, or FONSI as it's known, so that the BLM can then make a determination that an environmental impact statement, or EIS, is not required for this project. Next. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about the geology here at the Williams Draw LBA. Again, this photograph is taken from high above the existing mine site at Lila Canyon up on the Book Cliffs. It shows the terrain quite a bit. As Chris mentioned, the mountainous areas to the east, the relatively flat-lying plateaus to the west. The mine site is located directly below us in this photograph, which is not visible in this photograph. Next. Okay, the stratigraphy at Williams Draw is shown on this plate, which depicts the Black Hawk Formation. The Black Hawk Formation is a part of the Mesa Verde group of beds on the Colorado Plateau. The coal-bearing member of interest in this section is the upper Sunnyside coal seam. Also present is the lower Sunnyside coal seam, which in this area of eastern Utah has been mined extensively by other companies, primarily historically, for example, by Kaiser Steel Company and United States Steel Company. The Blackhawk Formation begins above the Manco Shale at the base and rises to the top of the Castlegate Sandstone. As you can see, and as will be depicted on some maps forthcoming, the beds dip to the east. If you will, the structure you're looking at is in a due north direction along the strike. And we'll talk more about the structure here in just a moment. Okay, with respect to the coal seam itself, the upper Sunnyside seam is regarded as a high volatile bituminous coal. It averages, as you can see, 12 to 14,000 BTU on a dry basis. Relatively low ash, and considering the BTU content, or if you will, calorific value, the sulfur content is in an acceptable range. The coal seam averages a little over 8 feet in thickness. And within the LBA, it dips fairly steeply in a northeasterly direction. It contains within the LBA 64.5 million tons in place. Next. This plate depicts the structure of the beds in the area of the Williams Draw LBA, again outlined in dark red. If you look closely at the map, you'll see that the elevation of the beds or the sandstones immediately beneath the coal seam are at an elevation of 6,100 feet. As you go to the east and northeast, the beds dip down to roughly 5,300 feet in elevation. So that's a fairly steep dipping beds for this mine. What this also shows is that to the east, the topography also raises. And so as the coal seam dips to the east, the topography also rises, and creating an overburden above the coal seam of up to at least 2,500 feet in thickness of overburden above the coal. Next. Again, a map showing the Williams Draw LBA, showing the ash content of the coal ranging from 6 to 15%, which in central Utah is at an acceptable range considering the calorific value. The ash increases a little bit going to the south and southeast. As you can also see on this plate, with all the dots, the round dark dots, represent exploratory drill holes, which have taken place over many years. So the point being is that data pertaining to the coal seam and all of the overlaying and underlying beds is quite adequate. Next. Again, the same LBA property showing a map depicting the calorific value or BTU of the coal. It ranges between 12 and 14,000 BTU on a dry basis. Coal in central Utah has typically been sold on an as received basis. In the case of the BTU, will provide a high BTU coal ranging from 11,500 to 12,500 BTU. It's considered a very saleable, high BTU, relatively low sulfur coal. And with that, I would like to turn this over to Stan Perks in our state office in Salt Lake City to talk about fair market value, maximum economic recovery, and the mining techniques.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stan Perks. I'm a mining engineer from the Utah State Office of the Bureau of Land Management. This evening, I'd like to discuss the maximum economic recovery of the Williams Draw Tract, fair market value, and the provisions which we're requesting the public to provide information if there's any information available. Next slide. So this slide shows that in the price area that the coal is being produced is on a downward trend, and the amount of electricity that's being generated in the state of Utah is at 66% by the amount of coal that is generated. Next slide. So the environmental assessment looked at the air quality permit that is in place by the Division of Air Quality from the state of Utah, and the Lila Canyon mine is permitted for 4.5 million tons a year. The EA analyzes a direct underground employment of about 238 people. The indirect employment from that number of people that are being employed is about 547 jobs. From the 4.5 million tons per year, that equates somewhere around 268 haul trucks per day, and there's approximately 88 round trips per day for personnel and delivery vehicles. Next slide. So maximum economic recovery is defined as mining all the economical coal based on standard industry operating practice. A BLM cannot approve a mining plan that does not achieve maximum economic recovery. So the question is, what is standard industry operating practice? Next slide. Longwall mining is the most productive and safest way to mine underground coal. It starts with what's called room and pillar development. These entryways, as shown on the diagram, or travel ways, are driven in the coal using continuous miner machines, shown in the picture down in the right-hand corner, and they cut the coal. Pillars of coal are left to help support the roof directly above the mining. Next slide. Longwall panels are developed using the room and pillar method. These surround the longwall panels to provide access where the longwall machine is located. This is called retreat mining. After the panel development, the longwall is retreated out of the area towards the main haulage and ventilation entries shown on the right-hand side of the drawing. Next slide. The longwall shear cuts the coal and automatically loads it onto a chain conveyor, which is part of the longwall. Roof supports called shields protect the miners who walk up and down with the shear along the working area or face. The face length or width of the panel can vary in length, but could be up to about 1,000 feet long. Next slide. In some cases, the surface of the coal will subside, and most of the time there are no effects on the surface resources. The deeper the coal, the less possibility for surface effects. The potential maximum subsidence was analyzed in this particular tract and would be approximately 6.3 feet. And this would be lowering of the surface topography 6.3 feet. Next slide. Due to the width and length of the excavation of the longwall panel, the roof cannot support itself, so the roof caves behind the longwall shields. This caving depends upon a number of factors, and what happens is it continues up until the surface actually lowers itself. Cracks from the coal seam to the surface do not generate unless the amount of overburden or material between the coal seam and the surface is very thin, which is not the case in this particular case. The rock formations near the surface will bend, thus keeping surface resources unaffected. Sometimes there are cracks on the surface, and those surface cracks are fairly shallow, and most of the time they self-heal. Next slide. So fair market value means that amount of money that a knowledgeable buyer and seller will purchase a coal lease. The Federal Coal Leasing Amendments Act of 1976 requires that coal sold by the federal government achieves fair market value. In order to do this, the BLM performs a coal evaluation. This evaluation takes into account many different facets of mining. Next slide. In conjunction with the environmental assessment that has been spoken previously, the Bureau of Land Management is seeking information from the public on 13 items. A few of those 13 items are listed here on this chart, and the remaining are in the Federal Register notice. If the public has information that would help the BLM in this effort, we ask that you provide this information to the Utah State Office by October 30th, 2020. After the BLM completes the fair market evaluation, it is sent to the Department of Interior's Office of Valuation Services, Division of Mineral Evaluation, for review to ensure it meets all the necessary requirements. Next slide. The coal regulations allow a bidder on a coal lease to pay 20% of the fair market value with their bid and 20% over the next 4 years. To ensure a fair return to the public, the BLM will increase the fair market value to cover the time value of money if the bidder chooses to pay their bid in this manner. This is a relatively new requirement as of about 2014. Next slide. Federal mineral royalties. Royalties are collected for underground coal at 8%, for 12.5% for surface coal. Where do these royalties go? The Federal Land Policy Management Act of 1976 laid out that 50% of the royalties paid to the United States Treasury will go to the states. Now, since this 1976 policy, there have been some slight revisions with amendments. Next slide. The Williams Draw Tract, based on approximately 32 million tons of coal production, would estimate about $90.3 million in federal royalties based on 8% royalty rate. Next slide. So as you can see from this chart, 50%, approximately 50% goes to the Utah State General Fund, and the other 50% the federal government keeps. The federal government takes those royalties and puts them in the three funds that are listed below. The reclamation fund basically deals with water projects in the Western United States. The 50% going to the states, in this particular case for FY 2019, which the fiscal year would be October 2018 to September 2019, all royalties paid to the state of Utah are approximately $71.7 million. Next slide. So from the general fund, federal mineral lease account and the mineral bonus payments, those funds, excuse me, are transferred into the permanent community impact fund. There is a community impact board that provides loans and grants to cities and towns that are impacted. And those particular funds are used to provide necessities such as roads, building, sewer, water projects. Next slide. So in fiscal year 2020, these are the types of projects that the Community Impact Board funded. As you can see, there are many projects that help particular towns and provide infrastructure to the cities and political subdivisions. Next slide, please. So looking at what exactly happened in Carbon and Emery County, as you can see from this, from 2020, Carbon County will get an ambulance, Wellington City will get a fire truck. So the 50% of the federal royalties that go to the state, this is where the money is being funneled to help cities, towns, and political subdivisions. That's the end of my presentation. I'll turn the time back over to Rachel.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stan. I really appreciate all our presenters here tonight and look forward to the remainder of our hearing. Again, mention the court reporter is here today documenting the meeting, and this meeting is being recorded. You may, continue to use the Q&A portal, but also, now is the time that we'll be doing our public comment, which will also be recorded and recorded by the court reporter. So, we still do encourage you to provide your comments in the final, or to be addressed in the final environmental assessment through writing, but also, you're welcome to submit your comments here today. So how this will work, it's a little bit different than outlined here on the slide, but basically anyone who is interested in submitting verbal comments here today, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand through Zoom. That should be visible on the bottom part of your screen. You should see the raise hand feature. Please go ahead and raise your hand now if you're interested. For our call-in listener, what we'll ask you to do is press *6 to allow yourself to unmute yourself, and then I can allow you to talk as well, but also *9 to raise your hand. So for everyone else who would like to provide public comment tonight, please go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll prioritize people who are from the local commuting area or the local area. But I think we'll ask folks to go ahead and raise their hand if they would like to submit comments, and we'll give you a minute to do that. I'll also, before we get started, while folks are working on raising their hands, I'll also mention the comment periods. So Stan already mentioned these, but the Williams Draw Environmental Assessment public comment period runs through October 15th, and that comments can be submitted by mail, through e-planning, or through email. And for the fair market value, that is open until October 30th, and comments can be mailed to the Utah State Office or emailed to Stan Perks. And I will go ahead and put those in the chat. All right, so before we get started, I am going to, I'll go ahead and ask again our call-in listeners. If you, a call-in listener, if you would like to provide comments, please go ahead and hit *9 now to raise your hands, and to then *6 to unmute yourself. For others, if you would like to provide comments today, please go ahead and select the raise your hand feature. And I will say that if anyone is, having issues doing that, you're welcome to also express your interest in the Q&A portal, and we can help you there. But as of right now, we have no hands raised for public comments. I'll mention that for this process, how it will work is we have on the screen, we'll have a timer, and you'll be able to select, or you'll be able to share your comments for 3 minutes with the group here today. We'll put your name on the screen so folks will be able to see, that, and then you'll be able to provide your comments. And I will also mention that we will keep this meeting open until 9 p.m. So, folks that join a little bit later are welcome to provide comments throughout that period. Every 5 minutes or so, I will share with the group the options for providing comments. But, we do want to thank you all for being here today, whether or not you choose to provide comments during this public hearing. Hi again, this is Rachel. I just wanted to share one more time that folks would like to provide public comments this evening. You're welcome to do so. Please raise your hand using the feature on the bottom of your screen. Once you raise your hand, then I will unmute you and allow you to talk. If for call-in listeners, if you press *9 to raise your hand, and then *6 will allow you to unmute yourself. And as I mentioned earlier, we will continue to keep this meeting open until 9 p.m. So we'll have a little time here if people change their mind and want to provide comments, or if folks join us a little bit later if they weren't able to attend the entire presentation. But we do thank you for being here today. Hi, everyone. It's me again. Thank you again so much for attending our public meeting today. If you would like to provide public comments, please feel free to raise your hand, and we'll be happy to call on you. I also, for our call-in listener, if you would like to speak, please go ahead and hit *9 to raise your hand, and then *6 to unmute yourself. I want to just make sure that everyone has easy access to allow to talk. So what I'm going to say is that I am going to actually allow our attendees that are still with us to unmute themselves right now. So I'll go through our list and just allow you to talk. And if you would like to provide public comment, then you can go ahead and unmute yourself at that time. So at this time, all our attendees are unmuted. If you would like to provide a public comment, you are welcome to do so. Please speak up, and then I will put your name under the public comment feature, or the public comment words on the screen. Hi everyone, Rachel again. I just wanted to say that I am going to go ahead and put the instructions to submit comments on both the environmental assessment and the fair market value in the chat box. So you're welcome to utilize those tools. Comments on the environmental assessment can be submitted through the BLM's e-planning website, as well as other methods, and then comments on the fair market value can be emailed to Stan Perks, Perks at BLM, or at blm.gov by October 30th. And you're also welcome to mail those comments to the Utah State Office. If you would like to provide public comment at this time, you are welcome to unmute yourself and just share with us that you would like to provide a comment. You'll have 3 minutes, and we'll share who's providing public comment. But regardless, we're so grateful that you all chose to spend your evening with us, and hopefully you enjoyed the presentation. Thanks again for being here. Hi everyone. So we had a question come in through the Q&A. I'm gonna go ahead and answer it live for you. So the question said, can you release the count of how many people attended this hearing? And I believe we had 13 in total and 12 at once. So that's our kind of count for this evening. Currently, we have 6 attendees. And while I'm speaking, I guess I'll just share again the opportunity for folks to provide comments. If you would like to provide a comment, go ahead and unmute yourself on the lower part of your screen. We will give you 3 minutes and you'll be able to share your comments. They will be recorded, and yeah. Thanks again for being here. I just wanted to call out that I put a correction in the chat box. Comments on the environmental assessments can be submitted through e-planning and the other venues mentioned, but they are due by October 15th. The public comment period started on September 16th. Again, closes on October 15th. Hi everyone, Rachel, Public Affairs Specialist for the BLM again. Just wanting to let you know that if you've changed your mind or decided that you would like to provide public comment here this evening, you can unmute yourself and let us know, and we'll gladly accept those comments. If you choose not to, that's fine too, and we hope you enjoyed the presentation here this evening. And thank you again so much for joining us. Hello again, everyone. This is Rachel. Just wanted to encourage our attendees, if they would like to provide public comments, you would be welcome to do so. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. Let us know if our call-in listener would like to provide comments. We just ask that you press *6 to unmute yourself, and then we would welcome your comments. It is the top of the hour, so it's 8 o'clock. We have one more hour for public comments. So if you choose to wait until 8:50 to provide your comments, that's fine. We'll be here. Thanks again for joining us this evening. Everyone, it's 8:05. Just checking in to let you know that if you would like to provide comments, you're welcome to do so. Our call-in listener can press *9 to raise their hand, and then *6 to unmute themselves. And for other folks that are here, you're welcome to just unmute yourself, and we will be happy to accept your comments. Thank you. And to unmute yourself, you use the button on the lower part of your screen. You should have a little microphone that says, currently it says muted, and if you click unmute, then it'll say mute. Thanks again for being here this evening. We really appreciate your time.
Is somebody making comments?
Hi everyone, it's Rachel Luton in Public Affairs. Just checking in to let you know that it's 8:10. You have 50 minutes until 9 o'clock, and you're welcome to provide comments anytime during that time. If you choose to provide your public comment during this hearing, please go ahead and unmute yourself. For most of you on the joining from computers or the Zoom app, you can just click the unmute button on the lower part of your screen. For those of you who are joining by phone, you can select *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. Thank you all again so much for being here today. We really appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you. Hi everyone. I I just wanted to check in to let you know that it's 8:15 and you're welcome to still provide public comments. You can just click unmute at the bottom part of your screen and we will happily accept your comments at this time. If you've joined by computer or the Zoom app on a mobile device. If you have joined by phone, please hit *6 to unmute. And if you'd like to raise your hand, you can click *9. Thanks again for being here this evening. Hi everyone. For those of you still listening in, it is at 8:19. You're welcome to provide your comments. If you choose to do so, go ahead and hit unmute and let us know. You're also welcome to raise your hand. We're watching for those raised hands as well. But and for our caller listener, you are welcome to hit *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. But we do really appreciate all of you being here today, and thanks for your time. Hi everyone, it's 8:25. If you have decided that you would like to provide comments, you are welcome to do so At this time, just on the bottom of your screen, if you've joined by a computer or Zoom app, click unmute and let us know. And our call-in listener can select *9 to raise their hand and *6 to unmute themselves. So thank you again so much for your time this evening. We really appreciate your time. And you still have 35 minutes to provide comments if you choose to. Thank you. Hello again, everyone. It is 8:30. You have 30 minutes to submit public comments. You may unmute yourself if you choose to do so. If you've joined by computer or the Zoom app, you can go ahead and click the unmute button on your screen, the lower part of your screen. And if you've joined us by phone, you're welcome to select *6 to unmute yourself and *9 if you want to raise your hand. Again, thank you all so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. And we'll be here for another half hour. Thanks. Hi everyone. It is 8:35, 25 more minutes until we'll end this meeting. But if you choose, you're still welcome to submit or share your comments with us. Please unmute yourself. For those of you who joined by computer or the Zoom app, that is at the bottom of your screen. You'll just select unmute. And for those of you who joined by phone, select *6 to unmute yourself. Thank you again for joining us this evening, and we really appreciate your time.
Sorry, Rachel, you were muted for that.
I was muted. So funny. Sorry, folks. So what I was sharing is that it is 8:40. Now it's 8:41. And if you choose to submit comments, you are welcome to do so. Folks that joined us by phone are welcome to hit *9 to raise your hand if you'd like, and then *6 to unmute. You're also just welcome to hit *6. And for folks who joined us through the Zoom app or by computer, go ahead and hit unmute in the lower part of your screen. Thank you again so much for your time this evening, and we appreciate you being here. And thanks, Kim, for letting me know that I wasn't was muted. Hi everyone, it's 8:45. 15 more minutes until 9 o'clock. If you would like to provide public comments, you're welcome to do so by, if you've joined by computer or the Zoom app, by selecting unmute, and we'll happily take your comments. If you have joined by phone, you are welcome to select *6 to unmute. Again, thank you all so much for your time this evening. We really appreciate you being here. Hopefully you enjoyed the presentation. And please feel free, if you choose not to provide verbal comments this evening, we do encourage you to provide written comments as well. Thank you again. Hello again, everyone. It's 8:50. If you would like to provide your verbal comments, you have 10 minutes left. Comments, if you would like to share verbal comments, you may click unmute on your screen if you've joined us by Zoom app or through your computer. If you joined us by phone and you would like to submit comments, go ahead and hit *6 to unmute yourself. Thank you again so much for joining tonight, and have a good rest of your evening after our meeting is done in about 10 minutes. Thank you. Hello, everyone. It is 8:55. There's 5 more minutes in this hearing, and now would be a great time if you change your mind, want to provide some public comments, this evening. We really do appreciate you attending this hearing, and would like to encourage you to submit comments, even if you choose not to submit comments verbally tonight, to submit your comments in writing through the venues provided. And again, if you'd like to provide public comment verbally this evening, you are welcome to, if you joined by phone, to hit *6 to unmute. And if you joined by computer or Zoom app on your phone or tablet, you can just select unmute on the bottom part of your screen. Thank you again for your time this evening. At 1 minute before 9, we'll go ahead and wrap up the meeting, but we do really appreciate your time here this evening. Thanks. All right, everyone. I think it is time to end our meeting. So I just want to thank you all so much for attending, and we really, do appreciate your time this evening. So thank you again, and have a great night.